South Africans love a good sporting rivalry, especially when it's against the old foe, the UK. It's not very often we get to see international motorsport challenge against our own boys, but that's exactly what's going down here in Pretoria at the Speedworth Mayhem World Championships. The venue was the Speedworth Raceway in Pretoria, and it was the first time that overseas drivers had made the trip to our shores to contest the event in a bid to crown a world champ. The competitors covered a wide range of ages, with one international driver in particular bringing a lot of experience.
My father started in 1968, the year I was born, believe it or not. And then I took it up from the young age of 12 years old, and I haven't had a season's break now, and I'm now 42. So I've been actually racing for 30 years without a break from any form of motorsport at all.
The international drivers recognised that it was going to be a tough event, but at the same time they were happy to be part of the historic occasion.
But it's the first time that it's actually come across into South Africa, so it's a great opportunity to be here on the inaugural event.
The visitors started on the back foot. The cars they raced weren't their own, and as Mark Willis explains, setting them up is not the simplest task.
There's so many different settings that you can run on these cars, and there's so much adjustment built into the chassis on these cars that it is very, very time consuming to get a perfect setup.
Time is something they had though. 2 days before the championship showdown began, the teams were all in the pit lane and on the track, tweaking and adjusting and making sure they had the best shot at victory. It wasn't a painless process though, with no fewer than 9 restarts during the qualifying. All the teams and drivers faced the same challenge of getting their setup just right, and once that was done, it was down to a battle of wits. It may have been billed as a contest between us and the Brits, but the reality was that it wasn't a team event. Everyone wanted to win.
There's some serious challenges here. You know, out of the local guys, there's 4 or 5 quick guys. I'm sure they want their hands on that trophy, but the UK guys are just going to be just as desperate.
Amongst the South African contenders, Llewellyn Myburgh was just one of many who set his sights high.
I hope they're in the first 3.
The Speedworth Championship runs fiberglass-bodied hot rods with tubular chassis frames, their power coming from 2-litre motors. It's fast and furious oval circuit racing, and while it may not be the pinnacle of motorsport, the drivers are skilled pilots who have been around the block.
Oh, my brother started in 91 race. Then I was too small, and then 97. My father bought me a car and I started racing in 97. And I won the Champ of Champs twice in a row.
It's been 4 days of testing and qualifying, and it all comes down to this. Earlier in the day, it looked as though the weather was going to play its hand in the proceedings, but thankfully the rain has stayed away. And after this driver's parade, it's 35 laps until we find out who is the 2012 world champion. After a full day's racing in other formulas, night fell and the oval track was lit up. With all the spectacle befitting an international motor race event, the tension in the build-up to the final was tangible. Spectators filled the seats at every point around the track as the drivers lined up behind the Ford Focus RS pace car. After a few false starts, the race was finally underway. 32 laps of bumper-to-bumper and wheel-to-wheel action with no quarter asked or given. The rules of the sport allow for contact as long as it's not forcible. In other words, it's okay to tap the guy in front as long as you don't ram him out of the way. There were some incidents, some more serious than others, but it seemed that the common thread was that if it was still drivable, then he'd carry on driving till the end. It may have been fun for the drivers, but we're pretty sure their mechanics think otherwise. As the checkered flag fell, there was no doubt as to who was champion, with one driver in particular having dominated on the night. There was also no doubt about which country had the drivers to do them proud, with the top 3 spots and 8 out of the top 10 finishes all belonging to one of the 2 competing nations. 26 cars started, only 16 finished. It was tight racing throughout with some pretty close incidents on track. In the end, it was a South African top 3, with Francois Joubert being crowned the 2012 Speedway Miami World Champion.
Yeah, no, I must. I'm proud South African.